Welcome everyone to the Bondcast, episode 1. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I'm with Connor Farley. What's up, Connor?
Shit.
What's up, Mike G?
Why no, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
What's up, Scott?
Pussy galore.
Alright, so we saw this. What's that?
007 reporting for duty.
Yeah. So, why don't we talk about the Spectre trailer?
Yeah. Fuck Star Wars, man. This is the movie.
Yeah.
Star Wars is going to bomb anyway. The Spectre movie is going to take the...
Yeah, Star Wars has got bomb written all over it. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Bunch of Darth Vader speaking that sir. No. Yeah.
I mean, to be quite honest with you, this is like the best, and I'm not being biased here because I absolutely adore James Bond. It's, I think it's actually the best trailer in like the last 10 years of any film.
Back to the original, if not during the Connery era, at least to the Moore era. That's what it looked to me. They looked at like one of those two and go, let's do it this way. Instead of just throwing bits and pieces and giving you everything.
What did you think of the trailer, Mike D?
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was every bit as good as I expected, and even more so. I guess I had like a hard-on, like I guess all the fanboys had for the Star Wars trailer, but for this, being a Bond fan, so...
Right. Well, I gotta say, it was an awesome teaser, too. The teaser was even fantastic.
Yes,
yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
I was
Kite in a hurricane, Mr. Bond.
Yes, I'm the author of your... What did he say?
I'm the author of all your pain.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that hit the fucking spot.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's kind of like referencing back to Casino Royale with Vesper.
Yeah, and I mean, it needs to be said. I mean, I'm not making a joke out of this. I'm being completely serious. But it's nice to see that in a year full of, like, childish superhero, guys running around in pajamas fighting villains, that we actually have an adult film that people can actually look forward to seeing.
You need variety, and Bond's been around all the time. Bond's always been in the theaters since I was a child.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up on Roger Moore, but
Mike's right. It's an escape because anybody can throw out a superhero movie, whether it's on the big screen or on video, and after a while they do get a little bit old and draw, but you get like something like Bond or the Kingsman coming out. It's a refreshing thing to see.
Yeah.
And I mean, it takes someone with big balls to make a Bond film that is a success.
Right.
I mean, it's no easy task.
Well, Daniel Craig's movie's been very successful.
Yeah.
Skyfall worldwide over $1 billion. I mean, first time in history. So that movie alone guaranteed these two. Spectre and the second part. I mean, it was always going to be a Bond film. Don't get me wrong, but
well, the box office, like with the Bond films, the franchise has always been a mainstay. But we shouldn't get too wrapped up in the box office because, like, License to Kill really got an undeserved shit upon back in 1989 when it came out with Timothy Dalton, and that's a really solid entry in the franchise. But he was competing against, like, Batman, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Ghostbusters 2. It just got, like, squashed in all that mess. But it's a great film. So, I mean, like, box office should never dictate how good a film is. I mean, because some of the best films, if you're looking at, like, the box office, they're shit.
Right. Well, we were talking about that before. Like, a lot of us like Terminator Genesis, and the box office wasn't there. But we loved it.
Yeah. It was better than I expected. I'm not going to say
me too. Me too.
I was
better than that. Right.
I was entertained completely by that, so that was good. It was worth my $8 for sure.
Yeah. Now, we have the actress, she was also in the Matrix movies, right? Monica Bellucci. Yeah.
She's not the main Bond girl as far as I'm aware. She's the one where she kind of like, she's a bit like Strawberry Fields in
She's probably going to be what's called the obligatory sacrificial lamb. It's a characterization.
Yep.
Right, she'll get killed.
Yeah.
For rounds, but like you always knew she was going to be a Bond girl.
After Bond fucks her,
yeah, of course.
You always knew she was going to be a Bond girl if you just look at her. I mean, like even in the Matrix, like you could look at her and like she's going to be something. One of these days, she's going to be one of these movies or something. It's going to be like huge.
Well,
she's in another movie.
She kind of holds her own title because she's the oldest Bond girl currently.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. She looks amazing, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying earlier on the chat. I was like, I mean, Monica Bellucci looks amazing for her age.
Well, I mean, Daniel Craig's like pushing 50 now, which is great. I mean, he's in great shape. He's a good-looking guy and stuff. It's nice to see that they're not matching him up with some like 22-year-old girl. You know, it's.
Well, how old is she?
She's 50, 51, 52.
Yeah, but she doesn't. She looks phenomenal.
Yeah, she
just like Catherine Zeta-Jones for a while. I mean, she looked amazing too. You know.
Yeah, but she's not batshit crazy like Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Well.
Yeah, the main Bond girl in Spectre is Léa Seydoux, who plays Madeleine Swan, who was revealed to be Mr. White's daughter, which is quite an interesting concept because it's never been done before, really, where there's the daughter of a main villain. It was in one of the past films, kind of like revisiting that kind of thing.
That's one way of getting your head on, Joe. Pardon the pun.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting where like she comes from and what her family and her roots are, because I mean you wouldn't expect her to be a Bond girl,
right?
Like with who her dad is and stuff.
So they basically wipe him so they can't find him. Like every information on him, I guess it was a Q that just like wipes him with the database.
Bond or Mr. White?
Bond is who he's
talking about.
The thing that I always love about these movies that's always like a bit funny is like almost every movie Bond like saves the world, and they still second guess what he does instead of just letting him do his job, because obviously by now he's proven himself and his mettle. But they still have to like be dicks, you know. M's gonna be
they always are. They always are, though.
And Bond's like, yeah, you know, don't worry, I'll behave, and he never does, and you know, it's just like
wasn't that Timothy Dalton? He lost his license and stuff, and it was like
he practically ran off and went and did his own bloodthirsty work, which resulted in the amazing film, His License to Kill. I mean, it's
right.
And I mean, if you want a really violent film, watch that because it doesn't hold back.
Right.
In any areas. I mean, Jesus, I was nearly sick watching it actually because it's that violent. But
well, I mean, it's not like, you know, watching like some hardcore horror film or something.
Yeah, but it's it's quite an uneasy film, but it's really good. I mean, I can't.
Now, do we know the running time? Do we know the running time of Spectre?
Spectre, I don't think we've said.
The Bond films are usually like clocking in now on average about 2 hours and like maybe 10 or 15 minutes. But Quantum of Solace was actually under 2 hours, which I think
that was actually just over 90 minutes, which is really short.
That's an hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that could have. I think that's kind of what it kind of complemented its downfall because it was just too short, and I mean there wasn't enough time to expand the story and stuff, and it was.
It's better to watch Casino Royale and then watch like Quantum of Solace as kind of like the third act of that film, and you kind of really look at them as being like one film, because like a lot of people shit on Quantum of Solace, and it does have its weak points in areas, but it's still a shitty Bond film. It's kind of like pizza, even when it's bad, it's good.
Right.
So. You know, I mean, the Bond film, like, it's not, like, Quantum of Solace is coming after Casino Royale, which is, like, one of, like, the absolute pinnacle of the best of the franchise.
Yeah.
It had, like, a lot to prove after that, and it actually, it failed in reaching that lofty status, but it was still an entertaining movie. And Skyfall made back up for that, which was a really tremendously great film.
Now, this time is this like technically the first time that we're gonna have a two-parter? Like, cause the next one's gonna lead right into it. Like, Spectre's gonna like, I mean, are they gonna call it like part 2, or are they just gonna like just?
No, they'll give it another title, but it's I think it's like it's gonna be a bit more like Casino and Quantum, but more like hardcore story kind of wise.
But it's like definitely like intricate, like where
Yeah,
it's like.
I mean,
like the next one takes place right here. I mean, like it's, you know, I don't know if they're gonna have a cliffhanger or whatever, and then boom, you start off again right from there.
Like with Casino and Quantum, it wasn't really too clear that it linked for a lot of the film. But for this, I think it'll be.
This definitely has to.
It's clear,
from what I understand. Yeah. So now, the one thing though is that we'll probably have to wait 3 years, right, or 2 years for the next one to come out.
About 2 years.
2 years.
2 or 3 years, maybe.
Right, but it's okay. But that's.
But
fine.
I'd rather wait.
That way they have this one.
It's a good film.
Bring time, and everybody gets used to it, and then boom, they jump right into the next one.
No,
that's killing.
When are they? Exactly. Spectre.
Sorry?
Do what?
What's the exact release date for Spectre World? Like
November the 6th here in the U.S.
It comes out. It comes out October 26th over here, so I get it nearly a week and a half before.
Yeah, those fucking limeys get it before we do.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well, we did.
Yeah.
I mean,
We should protest.
Oh, they gotta have it first. Come on.
It's an American.
They gotta have it first.
America should get it first.
They gotta have it first. Come on.
Yeah, Connor, you better not watch that film before I get a chance to see it.
Oh, well, I did.
Right. You're right. It'll be the opening night. What are you crazy?
Yeah, I know.
Come in. Yeah, guys. This is what happened here. This is what happened there.
Yeah, it's good. We're gonna have to stay away from the internet for like a week.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So yeah, no, that sucks. That's hard.
I've read the leaked script, and it's gonna be a good film, no doubt about it. I'm not even worried about it being a bad film at all.
Oh, I feel it's definitely be a blockbuster. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, I got so excited more with this is the most I ever got excited with these trailers than the other ones. I mean are we growing up?
Ever really scared that a Bond film will be crap? Because with Skyfall, all those trailers were, and I had no fear. Same with Casino Royale and stuff. I mean, I think that the Bond franchise is kind of like one of the only film franchises that never really fails to disappoint fully.
But I think the Casino Royale brought about a new breed of fans because that got him into the Bond franchise. Because that was a phenomenal film, and you got a whole new generation now that's watching James Bond.
Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson, the producers, made a brilliant decision, and Pierce Brosnan during his run, he did very well at the box office, his films with the public. Yeah. But Die Another Day was the weakest entry in the whole franchise, in my opinion. And I thought it was great that they wanted to go in a different direction to get away from all the big high-tech type stuff. Yeah. And to get back to what made this series what it is, which is the story, the character, the mood, what is, or rather, who is James Bond? And they decided to recast the lead role, and they cast against the traditional sort of look of who Bond has been, and they cast somebody who I've always thought is an incredible actor. I saw him in Layer Cake, and I told people, they were like, this guy, he looks like a goon. He doesn't look like James Bond, who's this suave, debonair type or whatever. And I said, Daniel Craig's going to be up there with the best, and he's proven his mettle. He's up there with Connery for sure.
Yeah, a long time. I think they almost needed to do it against type to get him back. Almost actually get him back into the mainstream, because after seeing, I think, the guy from Remington Steele,
Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan, I think people got a little bit burned out because I remember watching that movie and the special effects during a parachute scene with the
Parasailing.
waterfall. It's just like, my God, what am I seeing? Escape from L.A. again?
Yeah, Brosnan really. That last film, Die Another Day, half the movie, there's like two different movies within that one film, and the first half is pretty good, but the second half becomes like a CGI fuckfest of like craziness. And it's like.
It becomes a bit like a generic action film.
Yeah.
Like when the first half is a Bond film. I mean, there's a difference between an action film and a Bond film. I mean, I think that's. I don't think it's rocket scientist to realize that, to be honest.
When Casino Royale was released and you go and sit down and watch that, you know that you're watching something very special, that they made the right decision to make Bond relevant again. Because if they kept up with Brosnan,
Brosnan would have killed it.
Yeah, they needed some. They needed to re-energize the whole franchise, and
they should have did. Well, Brosnan should have did it like when he was doing Remington Steele, but he couldn't get out of the contract.
Yeah, couldn't.
He would have been so much better if he did it when he was younger.
Dying to do it. He's
so much better.
Well, I like Timothy Dalton. I like The Living Daylights. I like License to Kill. But from like 1989 when License to Kill came out, and 1995 when GoldenEye was released, there were no Bond films. So Brosnan is my least favorite actor in the role. That's not to say that I hate Pierce Brosnan. I really like GoldenEye.
For the Bond films, you just didn't seem to click after a while.
Yeah, it's almost like like
the audience lost interest.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like Colin Baker with Doctor Who. Like the idea of it was a lot more interesting than the execution. Brosnan's main thing was he was let down by the writers during his tenure in the role, because Brosnan was a good mix of Connery and Moore, and if they would have written him a little bit harder edged.
And I wonder if they honestly just did that to try to show like the fans, like, well, see, this is why he wouldn't have made a good Bond. And half the time I think that's what they do, is they come out with an actor, and everybody else thinks, hey, he looks good, but the writers or somebody go, this was really not our first choice, so we're going to write this as crappy as possible.
Well, I don't think they do that because nobody really wants to have a bomb.
I know.
Like, I mean, their name is on there. Their name is on there.
The producers wouldn't have put up with that shit. Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson, they would not have put up with that shit. They have a legacy. It's not only a franchise, that's their family legacy. Albert R. Broccoli and Harry Saltzman basically were the producers behind Bond when it first came out. And they have a family heritage to uphold. It's not like some half-ass sort of thing going on.
Right.
So it's a quality stamp of approval.
They know,
and that's what I mean.
Write them a certain way.
With some franchises, you can get people on board that they care about the films, but not much. But with Bond, I think every single person that works on Bond cares about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all family. Most of this crew have actually been part of the franchise history for 20, 30 years. Yeah. Some of the directors, like John Glenn, who actually directed 5 or 6 of the Bond films, he actually was a second unit director. I mean, he worked his way up through the ranks. And a lot of these people that are on the series, a lot of the stuntmen that are involved in it, their dad was a guy that was a stuntman when Sean Connery was Bond. So they keep a lot of the same sorts of people, and it becomes like a family. It's not just some crew that just shows up and they fuck around and do whatever. I mean,
for shits and giggles.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like a legacy, literally.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's also why there's not really a terrible Bond film, because I mean, just the passion that these people that work on the films every single time have just kind of enhances the quality of it, because they don't want to put out something that's shitty. I mean, I think they'd make us wait 2 or 3 more years if they thought that it was really, really bad and they had to change it.
It's like they want to pay homage to those who came before them, and know if they screwed up, they'd have them to pay, pretty much coming out of the woodwork and say, folks, us look bad too.
I'll tell you, if you want to see the degree of care that goes into these films, if you purchase the box set of the Bond films, like right now the 50th anniversary box set is out with all 23 films. If you get that, every movie has a documentary. It's about an hour long, and Patrick Macnee, who we recently lost, who passed away, he narrates each of them, and they run like an hour to an hour and a half long each, and they go into excruciating detail, like on the set, they interview people, they show location footage. Each documentary is like a movie in itself. If you watch those, you will see how much care goes into these films, and some people who have lost their lives,
people. I mean, that's the astonishing thing. Like in You Only Live Twice, when they were filming the helicopter sequence with the
Volcano.
Yeah, someone actually lost their leg because they were filming it in rather dangerous circumstances and conditions, and I can't remember his name. He was a key cameraman.
Yeah, and the last day of shooting, they brought the guy back to do the last, filming of those scenes because he insisted on it when he got better to do that. And, Willie Bogner, I know that name. He's one of the skiing stuntmen who's been doing, many of these films. They bring Willie Bogner on to do these films probably even today, at least in as a consultant for some of the stuntmen now that are in the films. But he did a bunch of the films, like For Your Eyes Only, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, a lot of those films where they had skiing, of course. But they utilized a lot of the same people. And that's really neat to see that there's a consistency there from film to film, or within the franchise, that they're utilizing the same talent to make these films happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the only thing that really changes kind of consistently, even though it's not really consistently, because they do 3 or 4 or even 5 films at a time, is the directors. I mean, you've had, Guy Hamilton, Sam
Terrence
Mendes.
Young, Sam Mendes, Guy Hamilton, John Glenn directed a bunch of Roger Moore in the 2 Dalton films.
Yeah, and even still, they haven't just done 1; they've done 2 or 3 at a time, and then they've gone
Louis
and done.
Gilbert.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm throwing names out there.
Who was the asshole that directed Die Another Day?
Lee Tamahora.
Yeah. I don't mean he's an asshole, because he's probably. It's but that film just could have been better. I mean,
Die Another Day, like Connor mentioned earlier, the first half of that film is not bad. It's actually pretty decent, but then it becomes a weird, sort of schizophrenic sort of movie where it doesn't know what it is, and it's trying to be an action film with I mean, why the fuck is Halle Berry in that movie?
Yeah, she was.
Basically, she was the latest.
But I mean, shame on them.
Yeah,
shame
she was the latest little beauty that comes out, so they wanted to put her, everything, just like they want to put the gal that. The Zoe gal from Star Trek and everything.
Zoe Saldana?
Yeah, Zoe Saldana. It's who can we get? Zoe Saldana. Who can we get? Halle Berry. She was pretty much the it girl of the era, so they wanted to try to get her in every single.
But they got Madonna as a cameo in that. I mean, that film, it's entertaining. It's not boring. But it so does not fit in with the whole Bond franchise.
Yeah, and she I mean, why did they give her a cameo when she produced probably one of the worst theme tunes ever? I mean, it's like diarrhea of the ears.
Oh my god. Oh
I
my
mean-
god.
I think I'll die another day.
Oh.
I'll fucking die, man. I'm sick of hearing you sing.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
got
I
some
mean-
pictures from Spectre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now is that
That's
is that Moriarty?
Sherlock.
Yeah, Andrew Scott from Sherlock, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is he a villain or is he?
well, spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers. We
All
won't
right,
reveal
we're not gonna
them.
spoil.
Yeah.
We won't reveal. Okay.
That reminds me a
Cool
bit of on Her Majesty's Secret Service and Thunderball, where they're all like the Spectre operatives are all,
Yeah,
you know, kind of. You don't really see that often in the Bond franchise.
they're
Which
just
is,
like in shadow to just make you guess, like, okay, who's all part of Spectra?
Yeah.
yeah.
That way they can have later
Like
on
stroking the white cat there.
that just use up the tape.
Please report number 2. And then they
Right.
dump him in like a shark tank in the floor or something.
Yeah, because he's
Lasers.
bad work. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have let down Spectre. You must pay.
Oh, and they once electrocuted that guy, didn't they, in Thunderball?
No, they fucked with everybody. My favorite
Yeah.
was when they dumped the guy out of the blimp.
God.
They're like, what was it, like Goldfinger or something? He's like,
yeah.
yeah, he's like, we're gonna rob Fort Knox, and the one guy's like, yeah, okay, well, you have fun, and he's like, all right, well, bye, take care, and they like fucking dump him out of a blimp.
Yeah.
What was the Bond movie where they put the guy in a compression chamber or something? And he,
License to Kill.
That was the most violent scene I've ever seen. I mean, his head
Right.
exploded. And they didn't like put any sense.
that was the guy that was his friend that got married, right? Was it his
No.
friend that? No. Oh, okay.
No, he got his leg bitten off by a shark. Felix
Right.
Leiter.
Yes, David Edison, who I actually met at a convention. I actually got to ride in a elevator with him. He was in The Fly, the 1958 film
Right.
with Vincent Price. And, yeah, David Edison, who's the only actor, well, actually, I take that back, now that, oh, damn it, what's that guy's name? The guy now that plays Jeffrey Wright, that plays Felix Leiter.
Felix
He's
Leiter.
actually- yeah, David Hedison's like the only other actor that's played Felix Leiter more than one time.
Yeah.
And he was the guy that played Felix in Live and Let Die. So
Yeah.
that no, the guy you're talking about's an actor named Anthony Zerbe, who was a character actor in a lot of like TV in the 70s and 80s. He was help me out, Connor. What the hell was it? What was that character's name?
Which one again? Sorry.
The guy in License to Kill, the real like greasy looking dude that was the Milton Crest, right?
That wasn't. What's his name? Califna or whatever. He wasn't the corrupt. He was the corrupt one, wasn't there? The Bond dumped in the shark tank with a.
No, that's that was a different guy. He's talking about. No, it was the guy that ran the boat. It was Milton Crest, right? The one that was trying to like.
Yeah, I think that's his name.
Yeah, the guy was trying to put the moves on Lupe,
Yeah.
Sanchez's girlfriend. Yeah, that's him. License to Kill is such a great movie. I mean, it's like it fits right in with the current mold of like Daniel Craig's like hard edge sort of Bond. Dalton's run of his two films really
Isn't
are.
the guy Benedictoro? What is his name in?
Benicio del Toro plays.
Thank
He
you.
played Dario in License
Thank you.
to Kill.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's the main henchman for the main villain, Franz Sanchez.
And he
Yeah,
was a
if you-
good henchman. And it was his second acting job as well, so he was no experienced actor.
We're gonna give her a little honeymoon. I love that line.
Yeah.
That's License to Kill. If you watch that film, it actually it holds up like they just made that movie, like 2 years ago. I mean,
Wow.
it's really
Yeah.
really good. And Dalton, if you like Daniel Craig's portrayal, Dalton's even more of a harder Bond. I mean,
Yeah,
Dalton's like, he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, he's impenetrable when it comes to emotion and stuff. You can't get through to him.
And he spits too.
Yeah.
Well, that's later in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And Dalton, of all the James Bond lines that Bond has ever delivered, Dalton has my favorite line of any of the Bonds. In License to Kill, they bring him up to Franz Sanchez's office, and Bond is trying to infiltrate Sanchez's gang under the guise of the fact that he's kind of like a rogue agent now. He's no longer under the employ of Her Majesty's government. So he goes to the office, and Sanchez looks at his credentials and stuff and interviews him a little bit, and he goes, so you're basically kind of like a problem solver. And Bond's kind of packing a cigarette, and he just kind of sticks it in his mouth. He goes, no, it's more like a problem eliminator. Which is great, because, I mean, that's what he does. He's not a problem solver, he's a problem eliminator.
Yeah, he just kills whoever causes him a problem or whatever.
Yeah, and the way Dalton does that is, like, so great. You have to see the smirk on his face. He's looking at him like, I mean, he's got a license to kill. He could fucking just wipe somebody out, and it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. No one can do shit about it.
It's great.
He just is like more like a problem eliminator.
It's just a fantastic film with License to Kill. I can't compliment it enough. It gets shit on by people, but I'm like, watch it again because, eventually I think people will start to appreciate.
You know what we should do? We should do in future Bondcast. We should review the Bond movies.
Yeah.
In future episodes.
Well, License to Kill recently, a lot of people, they were coming out of the Roger Moore era, which I love. I grew up in
Right, me too, yeah.
They had a hard time kind of segueing from Roger Moore's kind of tongue-in-cheek delivery of his dry humor with his one-liners and shit, and then they get into Dalton, who's just serious as shit.
I think that's why I had a problem with it, because I couldn't adjust.
Yeah, if you go back and watch those, knowing that Bond has been Daniel Craig,
right?
If you watch Dalton now, you're like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch him. Definitely. How much is the anniversary set cost? For all 23.
Well, I mean, and I got to tell you something, with that particular box set, they actually did a thing called the Lowry restoration process with those. If you get the Blu-ray, especially of that, it is unbelievably sharp picture, and there's a documentary on that box set where they actually take you through where they restored the films, and I've owned every format that the Bond films have been on, and I bought that Blu-ray set, and that came out 2 or 3 years after they had a Ultimate Special Edition on DVD, and I got to tell you, those Blu-rays that are out right now, I watched Dr. No and Live and Let Die, some of the older films. They look like literally they were shot last year. Wow. And they just happened to take place in 1973 or 1962. Wow. They are the most incredible. They're considered test format for home theater equipment. People use those to show off their high def TVs and stuff like that. I mean, it's amazing. You can count the eyelashes on Sean Connery in Dr. No.
That is detailed.
Yes.
Yeah, that's detail.
Wow. All right.
But I mean, it's just with Bond, it's just you can't. It's one of the most solid franchises in history. It's just there's nothing bad about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't fault Bond at all. It's ridiculous.
You can't badmouth it even if it's a real bad movie because there's always something decent, even if it isn't even 100%.
Well, thankfully, we've only had one movie that's close to being what you would call a bad Bond film, which is Die Another Day.
And even then, one half of it was, as we said earlier several times, it's amazing, to be honest,
Yeah, I mean, the beginning of that film was like great, and like the George Lazenby film, that's actually probably, if not my all-time favorite Bond film, it's in my top three easily.
Yeah.
It's amazing film. So Spectre, in the films, they showed up in the second film, From Russia with Love.
Yeah,
Blofeld
but he
character did.
was Blofeld was unnamed
Right.
at that point. I mean, I think even in the credits they put a question mark next to his. If you watch back in the credits, I'm sure that they put a question mark next to the actor's name because he was unnamed. I mean, obviously, we always knew he was Spectre #1 because he's the top dog. He was the one that
No, we knew who Spectre #1 is.
Oh well, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
ha ha ha, yeah. But
He's a doctor, right?
yeah,
Mm.
I don't want to get Joe in trouble, so I'm not saying his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I mean, in the Spectre's kind of been the villain or the organization that's kind of weaved its way through almost every Bond film.
Right.
And I mean, even now with Spectre, the actual Spectre, the film, we're kind of finding out that even when they weren't there, like in, Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, and Skyfall, that they actually were, and they were under the disguise of. I bet they were I bet they're who Quantum was. It's kind of like a disguise for Spectre.
Well, we need to tell people that Christoph Waltz, the actor, he's portraying a character named Franz Oberhauser, who has a connection to Bond's past somehow, is the way they're describing him, his character.
Franz Oberhauser in the books. He is because Bond was obviously, we all know by now from Skyfall that Bond was adopted and that he lost his parents, but he had a father figure kind of guy who was his skiing teacher, and Franz Oberhauser was his son. So he has kind of like a family connection in a way to
Scott, I think you're echoing Connor, so I'm just going to mute you until you talk.
Oh, okay. It
For
didn't.
some reason, yeah.
But we all are theorizing that Christoph Waltz's character is actually Blofeld.
Yeah, well, I think I mean, if you look in the trailer, what he's wearing, I mean, only Blofeld wears that.
Yeah, they call it Nehru collared suit.
Yeah,
With a certain sort of cut style suit. And Blofeld, if you go back to like the Connery films, Blofeld was always floating around in the background, kind of like what this character's putting himself out there as in the new film. And Blofeld's been played by probably like how many, 5 or 6 different actors? He had like Telly Savalas, Donald Pleasance. There's some actors don't come to mind that.
Charles Gray.
Yeah, Charles Gray. Thank you. So.
Who actually played a character in You
That's-
Only? He played
Donald
Henderson,
Pleasance.
was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
So, I mean,
And the
Blofeld is kind of like immortalized in the Bond franchise. I don't think they'll ever really get rid of him. He'll always come back at some point.
And I'll tell you
Right.
what's really cool. If you actually read Ian Fleming's original novels that came out, like in the 50s and 60s, they are like really, really different than the films. They're worth reading. They have like the characters, like you have like Goldfinger or you have Blofeld. But, for example, in the books, You Only Live Twice came out after On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but it split in the films, where they did them like the other way around. And the books are actually quite good because, for example, in You Only Live Twice, Bond and Blofeld fight in a hot air balloon, like, and Bond, like, defeats Blofeld and falls off, and he gets amnesia. And the very next book is Man with the Golden Gun, which is, like, way down the line in the film franchise with Roger Moore.
Right. Mm.
So, what's your experience with Bond, Joe? Your first
I went to see, besides going to see For Your Eyes Only, like on, I did see on TV, regular TV, which they cut to pieces, Moonraker, and I started to see Sean Connery films, but only after I saw, I started from For Your Eyes Only. So I saw, let's see, For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, View to a Kill, Living Daylights, License to Kill, in the theaters, and then Pierce Brosnan's, I saw them on, I guess it was VHS and stuff. But Casino Royale, I actually didn't get to see that in the theater. I got to see that on, yeah, I know, but yeah, once I saw that kind of like, I mean, I always saw every Bond film that came out, but once I saw that kind of like gave me like a big push, like, oh my God, now it's getting really, really, good. But I really like Roger Moore, and like you said, when Timothy Dalton came to the picture, I hated it. I hated both films. So, I always felt with Pierce Brosnan, I used to love him in Remington Steele, and I was kind of pissed that, because I felt he did it too later on in his life, where they were kind of, I really wanted him to do it a lot younger.
Yeah.
Around Remington Steele time, I felt that was like a missed opportunity. Because now you get. I didn't feel he was in his prime when he did it.
Well, Brosnan's wife was actually in For Your Eyes Only, and that's when the producers actually saw Brosnan and said, "Hey, he would make a good Bond later on down the line, possibly."
They should have tried to do something with that contract to get him out of it.
I'm kind of curious to hear Scott's, like, his background with Bond. Do we need to mute ourselves?
Yeah, we'll mute. He could talk.
Okay.
Go ahead, Scott. You can unmute yourself.
Okay. Moonraker was one of the ones which I saw, with probably one of the first ones, and then, like you probably saw talked about the For Your Eyes Only, and it was pretty much the Sheena Easton song that really drew me to the movie. And I've got to go back and watch a lot of them because there's so much stuff that I don't remember. I do remember the same guy who was in City of Death was in, I think it was either For Your Eyes Only or the one before it. But that's sadly my memory for movies is not that good. I'm the type of person, I'll watch it once, and if I see it on TV, I'll watch it again. But
are you talking about Julian Glover?
Yeah.
Who played Christatos?
He was awesome in that, and I thought, I know him. And then when I got one of the Doctor Who books, they talked about him in that as well. Like, they pulled him. But yeah, it's pretty much, I'm like you. Like, if there's a Bond film, I'm out there watching it, and the Subcar, and all of my. But that's pretty much I've probably seen 3 or 4 of them throughout the years, and that's pretty much mine. And yeah, the guy who, the last guy who played Blofeld, that's the only, Pleasance, of course, was the only, I'd forgotten about Telly Savalas until you said it, but.
I remember they had put Roger Moore in Cannonball Run.
Oh,
but they
that was great.
Yeah, I like that. And they kind of did like a variation of like the James Bond theme, and he has to be Roger Moore, but like it was so funny.
Everyone else had to step in and like kick ass, except for him, right?
Yeah.
Film, like he always step back and let everyone else fight.
Yeah, that was great.
When they had the scuffle going on.
Jackie Chan. was
Yeah,
in that movie. Really young.
and Richard Kiel, Jaws, was in one
Yeah.
of those. I
Yeah.
think he was with Jackie Chan, right? If I remember
He
correctly.
was with Jackie Chan. I think that was in the. Was that the first one? Might have been the first one. Yeah, I love the Cannonball Run 1 and 2.
Shows
I love
that,
those.
that must have been the second one, which
Everybody who was popular in the movies back then.
Yeah.
They threw in the Cannonball Run, like Roger Moore and all that. It was.
Well,
that
they-
was
I'm
it.
sorry, give me Gumball Rally any day of the week.
So
Well, they had like Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr.
yeah,
Like everyone was in Cannonball Run.
right.
But
Right.
Dom DeLuise.
But it was a nice tip off with the James Bond thing. That was, Roger Moore, that was really good.
yeah, the thing with the Bond films is kind of like Doctor Who, where like you come in when a certain actor's playing the role, and like with Bond, I went to see Moonraker. I believe my grandmother took me to see that, and
Moonraker came out. See, I'm trying to remember. That came out in '79.
79, yeah.
See, I'm trying to, because I remember seeing it, but then I'm like, well, wait a minute. Like, I don't. My dad took me to movies to see everything. Okay, I did see Moonraker, but I don't know if I saw that on. I think I saw that on TV because I know For Your Eyes Only. I was definitely in the theaters for that.
Yeah,
I
For
don't
Your
think-
Eyes
I don't-
Only came out in
For Your
81.
Eyes, I know I saw it on HBO.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was the first Bond film or the second
I think it
Bond
was.
film.
I think because the only thing I saw in the '70s it was when Star Wars stuff came out, but that was like I don't remember seeing. For Your Eyes Only was my first movie that I saw, and then I went backwards. I saw I think I saw the Sean Connery movies before I even saw the. I did see Moonraker right very soon. It was on TV, on ABC, I think. On Sunday night, they had like their movies. So maybe for television when they just cut. I hate when they cut the things to pieces. Yeah.
I know it was Roger Moore, but I think it was Moonraker. It might have been Moonraker. I know. So I know I saw one because Moore was the first person I saw in the cinemas. So because I know it was me, Mom, I forget who else.
I saw Moonraker and I missed For Your Eyes Only for some reason, but from Octopussy on, every film I've seen in the theater. But like I was like 5 years old when Moonraker came out, and I'd say within like 2 years or so, like VCR tapes were like real big. They were just coming on the scene at the time. And I remember my stepdad was telling me something about like, oh yeah, James Bond's been around for a while. There were different people that played the character. And I was like, okay, so I started renting the Sean Connery era of Bond because I never saw it in the theater. I wasn't even born when he was playing Bond.
Right.
So I went back and watched those, and I like had a fondness for watching Connery's Bonds,
Right.
and then like watching more when
That was my dad. My dad loved Sean Connery, and he loved James Bond, and he got me into everything really. You know, with the exception of like with Doctor Who, but like everything he liked, I liked. You know, same thing I do with my kids. But like he took every single Bond that came out. Boom, we were there. Boom. Even Never Say Never Again. We went to see.
Oh, that one.
I mean,
on HBO.
yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it was great. It was a great experience growing up. I mean, like you said, you know, it's not the space, the Star Wars. Like I grew up on that and Star Trek. This was like different. You know, like you need variety sometimes, right? Like you said, you can't always have superhero movies. You can't always have space movies. You can't always have horror.
Yeah.
You need like good old story,
dull.
spy. Yeah.
Real dull real quick, but the Bond films, they no matter how bad they are, how good they are, they're just a welcome refrain. It's like, oh yeah, it's a new Bond film. We gotta go see it. See who the new. It's like you go there to see either who the latest Bond chick is or who the villain be.
with the gadgets.
Yeah, especially.
Yeah.
See, now I have an interesting question I have to pose to all you guys, mostly Connor, because Like I said, I like just a lot of different variety movies. Okay. What now? I've heard bits and pieces of this before, Connor, but I really want to know what you feel the moment they came out with Austin Powers.
I just don't like Austin Powers because I get that it's a comedy and it's supposed to be a parody, but like with me, I have such an emotional attachment to Bond. It's so in my genes at the moment, you know.
See, I do too, but you know that's why we differ, because I went to see a lot of that stuff when I was young, but then I took to Austin Powers, like I understood what he was trying to do, because I know that he, from what I understand, was a big Bond fan, you know, and I didn't take it that way. Like I accepted it fully, you know, like as a separate thing, like a comedy entity, like, so, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think what I need to do is I need to rewatch the Austin Powers films because I haven't seen them in a few years. But I just didn't take very well to it because like at the time that I first watched them, I was that was kind of the first time I was watching the Bond films.
Right.
You know, I was going through them all. I was like 3 or 4 a day, maybe even.
Right.
Like I was just really, I was so into it, and then I just watched Austin Powers, and I was like, well, they're just making a mockery of
taking the piss out of it.
But you see the way I took Mike Myers, right? I said, all right, he's making a character out of a combination of characters that he loves. Besides trying to be James Bond, he's kind of doing like the Doctor Who thing with John Pertwee. You know, like with the judo chop, and right away I said that's the Doctor. You know, like with the judo chop. Like, you know, like when he got the guy in the neck and he wore like the ruffled things, and I'm like, oh, that's John Pertwee.
Well, you know? I can weigh in here with this thing. Mike Myers has gone on record, and I've heard him like numerous times. He grew up where he said, like, my dad was always watching Bond on TV all the time. I was a huge fan of Connery's Bond. He was doing it as a loving homage to the series.
Right.
And Austin Powers, they're taking the piss out of like everything going on in the 60s. It's not only Bond, it's like the Avengers, it's like the Man from U.N.C.L.E., Our Man Flint, all that stuff. Even The Prisoner. He's kind of making fun of the whole like 60s spy craze.
Right.
Now Dr. Evil is a direct rip of Blofeld from like one movie, you know.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, because of Austin Powers, the producers of the Bond franchise, that's why they decided to go with like going back to Bond's origins, making him a harder character, because without Austin Powers, we would probably have more of the tongue-in-cheek sort of Bond instead of like Bond had to mature a little bit because it was getting kind of stagnant with Brosnan, with Die Another Day, and now like we have everyone loving. Do what?
I said throw another girl on the Barbie.
To where like the Bond films now, it's not even. And one thing I have to say before I forget it is, being a longtime fan of the Bond franchise, I grew up watching Roger Moore. I love Roger Moore. I love his films. They are the ones I actually go back to more than any of them to watch again because they're so damn entertaining. But for a while, even in the Bond community, people were kind of like, yeah, you know, there was the Roger Moore era, and it was kind of like, well, you know, he kind of wasn't the hard-edge Bond. He was kind of the Bond that was kind of just, you know, kind of like going through the motions, and he had like a sense of humor. He wasn't like hard and dangerous and whatever. But there's been a newfound renewal of really, really, really respecting and enjoying what Moore has done during his time in that role. And I love going back and watching those films and seeing that people have a newfound respect of Moore's tenure in the role. Because, yeah, I mean, like, Moore didn't play Bond like Craig did, or does, I should say. And he doesn't play the role like Connery, but you don't want to see, like, the same sort of characterization of Bond. It's kind of like Craig's role. as Bond right now is kind of like what Christian Bale's doing with Batman, and
Which is
it's a
phenomenal,
different
yeah.
feel. Yeah, it's not Michael Keaton, it's not
Right.
whoever, but the like Scott was saying, that regardless of like what you have a problem with the Bond films,
Right.
There's always one thing.
they're always reliably entertaining, and you know what you're paying for when you go to the movies to watch a Bond film. And if you're going to walk into a Bond film and expect that you're going to be seeing like some sort of like Merchant Ivory production and like some highfalutin tea and crumpet bullshit, you're going to be disappointed.
Well, now let me ask you this question. Now, you stated how they took the franchise more serious after Austin Powers, right?
Yeah.
I know that they were suing them left and right because they didn't like that the titles are too similar.
The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Right. they were getting really pissed off. Goldmember. They were getting like really pissed off that they were doing that, but they couldn't really. They didn't win. Now, we have another situation now where Spectre's coming out. Okay, past couple months ago, Mike Myers came back as Dr. Evil on Saturday Night Live just to see how the reaction would be because of the North Korea thing.
And that was great. I saw that. Yeah.
People went absolutely ape shit. That like right there you saw, okay, people want this, okay, and there's been rumblings that he's going to bring back the Austin Powers. From what I understand now, he absolutely is, and the next Austin Powers will probably come out before the last Daniel Craig Bond movie. Now, what do you think will happen? Do you think that this will again conflict with the Bond franchise, or you think that?
No, not at all, and I'll tell you why. We had spoofs of Bond. Casino Royale, the first Casino Royale, came out in 1967, I believe.
Yeah, 66, 67.
Yeah, that had like Woody Allen, Orson Welles, David Niven, all these people that were in that. Peter Sellers.
Bonds.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's all in good fun. So, I mean, big deal. It's kind of like...
I mean, this time I believe...
The Matt Helm movie, there was also something like a Bond type of film as well.
I mean, this time he's traveling to the 80s, supposedly, so it's going to be even more connected, more like with the Roger Moore thing. Like, maybe they'll even try to have him in it or something.
I'll go see that.
Yeah. So, all right, so you're all for it. What about you, Connor?
Well, like I said, I need to rewatch all three Austin Powers films.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen them in a while, and when I did see them, it was kind of when I was at the peak of going through all the Bond films, and I was loving them all, and I was totally just like I was that was kind of when I was starting to really solidify myself with Bond, like I was getting right into it.
I think your reaction with Mike Myers and Austin Powers is like my reaction when I didn't have Roger Moore anymore. I just wouldn't accept.
I don't have a problem with Mike Myers. I mean, it's not his fault that it was at that point where I was watching the Bond films like that.
I think you would love it, dude. If you went back, I think you would love the three of them.
I will watch all three of them again. I mean, I have seen them before. I'm not just bashing it because it parodied Bond. I mean,
I'll tell you what would be awesome is Daniel Craig has hosted SNL. And Christoph Waltz has also. I would hope that maybe, possibly, we could have either of the two of those people go back on SNL and, like, maybe Daniel Craig, and you could have Mike Myers show up as a surprise cameo as Dr. Evil, and Craig could be playing Craig could be playing a quote-unquote spy. Maybe not James Bond, wink, wink. But I mean, like, and that would be a great get to see Dr. Evil and current Bond playing off each other.
That was one of the things ever since the Austin Powers movie. I would love to see them do that.
That would be pretty cool. All right, guys, it's getting really late. I got to get ready for bed. Got to go to work. I really enjoyed this Bondcast. I think the next time we'll also have a really long one, too. We'll try to have this probably next week. All right, we're gonna try. So, thank you, Connor, Mike
Thank
D,
you.
Scott.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye for now.